You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We are ready to get started with today's Motivation and Mindset Monday. I'm excited to bring you today's show, and that's because there's often a lot of debate in the health space over so many different things. Some of them are actually a little ridiculous, and some actually have some meaning. But today, it's kind of the fight between, the psychotherapy that goes on. Does someone need to see a therapist, or should they really just be taking care of their body, eating better, all of those things? So on one side, we have, you need to heal emotional trauma. You need to go back and figure out what are the root causes from a mental perspective of why you feel the way you do today. And then there's the other side saying, really that can be healed if you look at it from more of a cellular-based, digestive-based issue. Because what happens is when our body's inflamed, it affects our brain. And you know what? A lot of times with all of these debates, there is this gray space. And the gray space says, you're right. And the other part of the gray space says, yes, and you're right too. Both sides can be right. But there's such ego. There is such ego involved with medicine. It's unbelievable. So conventional medicine, MDs, a lot of MDs say, I would never work with an ND because they didn't go to conventional medicine school. And then an MD may not work with a chiropractor because they say chiropractic isn't real type of medicine. And then a chiropractor may not work with an acupuncturist because, it doesn't have to do with subluxations of the spine. And we have this hierarchy of who's better than who. It's completely insane, completely ridiculous. I know amazing personal trainers out there right now who are so knowledgeable in the anatomy, physiology of the body, so knowledgeable about nutrition, that I would take more health advice from them that I would take from a PCP, without a doubt, hands down, and I could rattle off a dozen names right now. Same with chiropractors. In the functional medicine space, there are so many great doctors, and many of them are chiropractors, and also acupuncturists as well. Now, I'm also not excluding DOs and MDs, because a lot of DOs, MDs, and I would even say nurse practitioners as well. There's so many great conventional medicine practitioners, we'll include RDs with that too, that have kind of moved over to the integrative space where they're doing functional medicine. So what we need to do is just get rid of this crazy ego in medicine. And even if you're a layperson without a single certification and you have a lot of knowledge because you've done a lot of reading, meaning I'll take the person's advice who's read 1,000 books over the MD who's read 300. Why wouldn't I? This person has this massive knowledge in one space, whether it's nutrition or inflammatory foods, whatever it might be. So again, what I care about is the knowledge, and I also care about the experience. So I want to hear from someone who's done the reading, who's read the books, who, ideally who's gone to school as well, who's learned the material, but I want them to have that actual real world experience. So when I'm looking at something as important as both mental and physical health, and I'm looking at these two forms of energy, which I want to speak with you now, the mental perspective and the physical perspective. When either one of those is not functioning to its highest level, you're going to have a drop in energy. Okay? So if you're dealing with mental, emotional-based issues, okay? You're upset about a relationship, a past relationship, a family-based issue, a job issue, a coworker issue, a friend-based issue, any of those things, that's going to zap your energy. It really will. And I'm going to tell you why in just one moment. And then also from a physical perspective, let's say you get the flu or you have a virus or you're run down or you have gut-based issues, you're feeling bloated, you have joint pain, any of these things, it zaps your energy as well. And it can even lead to brain fog. So it can lead to a brain-based fatigue. And why is this? Well, here's why. Your physiology, meaning your body, affects your psychology as well. And your psychology, meaning when you're having a bad day from a mental, emotional based perspective or spiritual perspective, the body gets tired too. And that's because your psychology affects your physiology. And we know this. This is clinically, scientifically proven. And believe it or not, we have physical therapists out there and therapists as well. So psychotherapists psychologists that help people from a psychology, physiology-based perspective. And I think it's amazing. I'm going to share some of those tips with you in just one moment. So here's the deal, though. How is this possible? How does our psychology, our brain affect our body, and our body affect our brain? Well, they're intimately connected, okay? Our brain and all the signals from our brain run down our spinal cord. And off of our spinal cord are all of our nerve endings. And those nerves run off into every tissue in our body and affect all of our cells. So you can imagine that if we have tension and stress in our body, in our mind, how does our body feel? Well, it feels stressed, right? It feels tense. I already gave that away. That's how it feels. It feels locked up. And people wonder why they need to, stretch and foam roll and get a massage all the time. Well, they're tense. They're tense, but they're also tense from a mental, emotional based perspective. And then what if we're feeling bloated, right? If we feel like we just ate a meal and we're not digesting it properly, we feel tired, right? Our brain feels tired. We can't concentrate. We're told in school not to eat a big lunch, or especially before an exam, because you're not going to be able to think very well. And that's true, because all that energy, all that blood, it's moving to your stomach. And if you're not doing a good job of digesting, not enough stomach acid, not enough enzymes, not enough bile, well, here's the deal. It's going to take longer. The food's going to stay in there longer. You're going to have to divert more of your energy-based resources to digestion, okay? So that's why it's so important to understand there's a great mind-body connection. It's not made up. It lives within us, meaning even if there's a gut-based issue, meaning you have candida overgrowth, you have C. diff, which is Clostridium difficile, you have SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, you have IBS, any of these things. The vagus nerve, so the vagus nerve that's connected from our gut to our brain, it sends signals. Our gut's known as our second brain. Literally, there's 100 trillion bacteria in our gut. There's 40 trillion cells in our body, but there's 100 trillion of those bacteria, and they are interconnected themselves. They're sending signals to each other, and those signals as well are going from our gut right up to our brain. And then our brain is sending signals back down to our gut. And that's sometimes when we feel nervous, we get queasy in our gut, right? And you can see these direct connections from one to the other. Remember, when you look at natural health, it doesn't have to be woo-woo. It doesn't have to be, one of these things that are incomprehensible, it's just all made up. There's no research behind it. There's research behind every topic that I bring you. I won't bring you a topic without research on it. I honestly won't. And that's because as much as I am a true naturopath, and I would even say a traditional naturopath who just uses state-of-the-art functional medicine, orthomolecular medicine, but what I believe in is looking at the research. I'm always looking at it with a skeptic's mind. I really am. If someone says, oh, well, this is the newest, latest fad, whatever it is, I say, okay, great. Let's see a little bit of research on it. They say, oh, well, it's up and coming. I say, great. But I'm not going to be the guinea pig for it. My family's not going to be the guinea pig for it. And my community on the Cabral concept is certainly not going to be the guinea pig for it. So we're not going to talk about it until there's some real data behind it. And that's my promise from me to you, because I'm not going to subject you to all of these crazy things that we hear now with mitochondrial biogenesis hacking and keto-based hacking and fat, 90% of your diet should be fat or 80% should be fat. That's insane. And don't make yourself the guinea pig for that. If anything swings way in one direction, believe me, it's not the truth. Because the truth in life is about balance. And that's what I want to talk about right now. The way that you're going to harness the highest level of energy. This is what I've been able to do in my own life. This is what I share with people that I work with privately, and I want to share it with you. Okay, here's the deal. The way that I was able to overcome Addison's disease, there's no greater form of fatigue in the world than Addison's disease. That's clinically proven, okay? When I had Addison's disease, this is clinically verified. I had an ACTH stim test. So basically what they did was they stimulated my HPA axis to gave me the precursor to produce cortisol. My body would not produce cortisol. I was less than a 3. My body would not produce cortisol. My adrenal glands would not produce glucocorticoids. And glucocorticoids, that's your fight or flight response. Basically, think about this. A battery without a charge, it's not going to work. My batteries were basically zapped. There were almost nothing there. That's why I had the tremendous brain fog. That's why I used to sit at my dinner table and actually think. It was almost like I was looking outside of myself. I could see everybody talking around me, but it was almost like an outer body experience because I was trying to form thoughts in my brain of words to say. That's how painful it was. That's how low energy I was. I was just apathetic. I had no body or brain energy. They were just gone. So what I do? Well, luckily, I met some great natural health practitioners. I met a great MD that was into functional medicine. I met a great ND that was also into natural health, naturopathy, and functional medicine. I read 3,000 plus books. I was a man on a mission to get well. I was literally, just stuck on one path, did not want to do anything else because I knew nothing else in life mattered if I didn't get this right. I was not going to have a life. I was not going to have any relationships because everything was falling apart around me because I was just a shell of a human being. That's the truth. So what did I do? Well, here's the thing. I had to fix the physical body first. That was the really important part. Fix the physical body. I needed to nourish my body. My digestive system was shot. I had no energy for anything. I started using the daily digestive enzymes like I recommend to people. I started eating more fruits and vegetables, but I did cooked vegetables. I did things that were easier to digest. Fruit is already simple to digest. I started adding in some protein powders like the daily nutritional support powder. Back then, we didn't have that. That's called a functional medicine food. We didn't have it back then. So I took methylated B vitamins, okay, like the active B complex. I started to build my body back up. And at the same time, I started studying psychology. So yes, I've read 3,000 plus books, but at least 100 to 150 of those, at least that, I would probably say 150 plus, maybe 200, are all psychology-based books. I read the teachings of Carl Jung. I read NLP. I read everything to start to reframe my brain. My mentor, Dr. Pete, gave me a book on heart math. I started studying heart math. I started to look at my brain and my mind as actually connected to my body. I started to reframe how I saw the world. When I did that, all of a sudden things started to change. Not overnight, but little by little. And I still relapsed. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I still relapsed. But every relapse was now shorter than it was before. And eventually, I started to become energized and more energized than I had ever been before in my life. So right now, 20 plus years after that sick kid who got really, really sick, right? Had to leave school. 20 plus years later, I have more energy than I did last year, the year before that, and even when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. No doubt about it. I have more energy now, both in mind and body, than I ever have before in my life. And that's because I learned the interconnectedness of them. And I want to share a little secret with you right now as well. When you are having a bad day mentally, what you can do is you can supercharge your body to overcome your mind on those days. So on those days, I'm in a funk. I had a bad day at work. I whatever might have happened, okay? Relationships, whatever might be going on, okay? Got some bad news. What can I do to supercharge my mind to get over that, okay? Or to put it in better perspective. Again, bad things happen in life. I'm not going to say that, but we have to be able to deal with them appropriately from a mind, body, energy-based perspective, okay? I'm feeling down. What do I need to do? I need to bring my body back up. So what I do is I go out and I exercise, and I try to do that outside. So what I'll do is maybe I'll do some body weight exercise inside, some push-ups, some pull-ups, whatever it might be. And then I'll go for a jog, or I'll do some interval-based sprints. I'll do some hill sprints. And by the end of that, I'm huffing and puffing, and I super oxygenated my body, which helps so tremendously much. It helps me more than just sitting in the state of meditation. Now, meditation will help, but what I found is pushing my body a little bit energizes me. Now, of course, I don't want to. I don't want to do the push-ups. I don't want to do the pull-ups. I don't want to do any of those things. But when I do them, and then I go out for a little jog, little fresh air, a little walk, but something more than a walk at this time, to supercharge my body, to get out there, fire my body up. When I finish that, even if it's just 20 minutes, all of a sudden now, yeah, maybe not everything's better. I'm not saying that, but my perspective is now different. I've oxygenated my tissues. I give my brain a little oxygen, a little bit more oxygen as well. Worked in that belly breathing. Remember, if you listen to last week's show, last week's Training Thursday, the difference between belly breathing and thoracic breathing. When you're working hard, you're going to get that oxygen way down into the deeper lobes of your lungs, which means you're going to super oxygenate your entire body. That helps. Now, on the flip side, what if your body's feeling sluggish? What if you're feeling like you're just a lump of lead, right? You're just sitting there, you're inflamed, you're not doing well. Here's what we need to do at that point. That's when we need to go into more of the meditation-based state. That's when we need to start breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Again, doing those belly breaths. But we also then have to turn to what I call more gratitude and perspective. Okay, so the body's not feeling well. Maybe the brain's not feeling well either, but the body's just feeling sluggish. You say this, today is only one day, okay? It's not the rest of my life. I'm having a bad day. Everyone has bad days. It's part of the human experience. We all have to go through this. If we did not have bad days, if we did not have bad experiences, if we didn't have this, then there would be no good experiences. And I know you've heard this before, but you have to focus on it. Everyone's going to have bad days. Inescapable. Part of the human experience, part of the ebb and flow that I talk about. But I'm telling you, tomorrow's different. What do? Well, we try to do this. We try to eat well on those days, a little bit better as well. Exercise or not, you might just want to take a more of a relaxed day. You might want to not overcommit to anything that one day. I always try to say this, today wasn't the best day, brain's not there, body's not there. I need to go to bed a little earlier. So here's what I do. I have a light dinner. I breathe, I do some stretching, and I just try to get to bed early as humanly possible, which for me would be 9 o'clock. That's as early as I can basically get my body into bed. That would be an early night, and it feels good. So I get to bed, and I know when I wake up that next day, I'm going to wake up a new person, right? I'm going to have a new reality. I'm going to have a different set of eyes to now see the world. I bring everything with me from the past, however many years, but now I get to wake up and I get to understand today's a new day. You really can't look at it with that perspective. And as I always say, if you have gratitude for what you do have, and if you have perspective that there'll be good days and bad days, we're trying to have more good than bad, you'll be able to move through a lot in life. You really will. I'm telling you right now. And one more thing I want you to focus on, whenever you're going through a tough time, whenever you're in a slump, you're in a funk, is that you need to focus on what energizes you in life. I've mentioned this before, but you need to focus on what energizes you in life. Find those things. Is it a relationship? Is it giving back like big brothers, big sisters, doing nonprofit-based work? Is it your job itself? Is it art? Is it music? Okay? Is it doing a podcast? Is it doing some type of coaching? What is it? Usually it being some type of service or using your gift, what you've been blessed with. Okay? So when I'm having a bad day, I try to go back to what are the things that energize me? What do I love? One of the things that energizes me without a doubt is when I do a podcast. I feel like, I don't always know if it's going to serve. I really don't. But what I'm saying is this is something that I've seemed to have been given that I can give back to people. I went through some really tough experiences in life. Maybe I went through that to be able to then teach others. Maybe that's the reason why. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But that's what I look at it as. If I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have read the 3,000 plus books. I wouldn't have gone back to school, and I wouldn't now be able to serve. So every time I do a podcast, I'm giving back, and that makes me feel good. I'm telling you right now, when you are of service to others, it energizes both mind and body. Try to find that space. I'm telling you right now, whether you're using your gift, whether it's art, it's music, it's writing, once you get into that zone, that place that energizes you, try to do a little bit more of that. And that's why I say if you just wake up a little bit earlier in the morning and you can look forward to using your gift or doing what you love to do. Maybe it's just like making lunch for your kids. Like that's a great way to be of service. Whatever it might be, do that thing. I'm telling you, try to focus on that when you first wake up. That's going to start your day off right. I could go on and on. I really could. Love this topic, and I love Motivation and Mindset Mondays because these are all things I've done. And you know what? I've learned them through trial and error, and you're going to do the same as well. No doubt about it. But here's the thing. How do you learn through trial and error? You actually go through those trials, right? You need to do things. You need to go forth. You need to put forth action. And that's what I want you to do today. I want you to pick one thing. I want you to think about what we talked about on today's show. Pick one thing. What is it that you're going to do to energize both mind and body? You're going to focus on your body. You're going to focus on the exercise, the good food, or you're going to focus on the mind part. You're going to focus on the gratitude, the perspective. I'm telling you right now, start to focus on these things. When you focus on these things, don't focus on the energy, don't focus on the health, any of those things. Focus on the actions. When you do that, you will absolutely change your body and your life. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Motivation and Mindset Monday. I appreciate each and every one of your listens. Please feel free to share this episode with anyone it could bring some hope.
Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.